1970, Star Trek, the original series, ended on TV only 1 year before. Science fiction in movies was limited.
I love it.
In comics, Detective Comics 395, The Secret of the Waiting Graves, marked the first collaboration between Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. Teen Titans 26 was the first appearance of Mal Duncan, aka Vox, The Guardian, Hornblower, and the Herald, DC's first black superhero. Jack Kirby moved from Marvel to DC to take over Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen and created the Fourth World, New Gods, Mr. Miracle, and the Forever People. Alex Ross is born, and in August, the first San Diego Golden State Comic-Con was held in the basement of the U.S. Grand Hotel. The guests included Jack Kirby and science fiction writer Ray Bradbury.
So these dumbbells, come along and try and tell us what we knew intuitively when we were children, that this is a loving art form, and it represents the secret wishes of the men and the women who read it.
A 3-day ticket cost $3.50. 300 people showed up. In 1973, it was officially named San Diego Comic-Con and had over 1,000 attendees. In 1974, the first masquerade was held, and by the end of the 70s, about 5,000 attendees came to the show each year. In 1976, a low-budget science fiction film brought a slideshow of production artwork before filming had begun. The big draw for the crowd was the Marvel Comics adaptation by Howard Chaykin and Roy Thomas, and the poster they gave away. By 1977, the reception was slightly different once people knew what Star Wars was. Through the 70s and 80s, the convention moved from hotel to hotel, to the University of California, San Diego, Golden Hall, and Indoor Arena, until finally, in 1991, settling at its current home, the San Diego Convention Center in the Gaslamp Quarter. And every year, attendance grew. By the end of the 80s, they hit 11,000. By the end of the 90s, 42,000. In 1987, they started the Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards, the Oscars of the comics world, honoring the best publications and creators of the last year. Later, they also held the Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award, given to a comic shop from around the world that goes above and beyond for the customers. In 1988, before the internet, fans were angered by the casting of Michael Keaton as Batman.
I'm Batman.
Bob Kane came to Comic-Con and told fans about the costume, sets, Batmobile, and the tone of the film to calm their fears. By 2001, more than 50,000 people attended each year. This is around the same time Hollywood began to take over the convention. By 2005, over 100,000 were attending. What started out as a comic art and cosplay convention was now instrumental in selling blockbuster movies and TV shows to the fans. In 2004, the con expanded into Hall H as well, a room that seats 6,100 people. In 2007, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday passes sold out for the first time, and a citywide scavenger hunt was put on to promote The Dark Knight. In 2008, a little vampire book that had a low-budget film adaptation was part of a panel in Hall H. Mostly female fans camped overnight to be near the front row to see their favorite Twilight characters in person. By 2010, attendance had reached near capacity of over 130,000. In 2015, attendance hit an all-time high of 167,000. Because of the pandemic, for the first time the con was held virtually in 2020 and 2021, but now things are getting back to normal. And recently, they have created a Comic-Con museum so you can see exhibits and artifacts of the history of San Diego Comic-Con. Although it is crowded and expensive to attend, San Diego Comic-Con International is still the premier pop culture convention in the world.
Wow. And well, Mr. Storm looks like he's been abducted by aliens, which is not unusual for this show.
He definitely has been.
Hey, welcome on in. This is Pixels Plastic, and continuing on the 2-hour spectacular San Diego Comic-Con. For those of you who have come over from the Sarlacc Digest, we got some amazing guests here. Darth Moocher, Scott Solo, welcome on in. It was awesome to be a part of your cast, the first hour, talking all things Star Wars, San Diego, Comic-Con, and then obviously the usual suspects minus Alexander Storm. Please put out a missing persons. He's back. He is back. He is back.
We found him.
Yes,
he is back.
Well, it's good to be over here now. This is nice. I like what you've done to the place. This is great. I love that documentary. That was really cool. It reminded me of something like I would watch like on Netflix and just sit back and be like, I remember those days. You know?
I kept looking for us in the photos.
I did too. I was like,
I remember that costume. Yeah.
Might have had hair back then, but yeah.
Well, thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks, chat, for tuning in again. Super excited. San Diego Comic-Con weekend has arrived. As you can all see, we are in the comfort of our homes or studios and not at Comic-Con, but I think we shared in the first hour. And if you are watching this on repeat and not live, please check out the first hour because we talked a lot about memories and how things were cheaper and where the future of San Diego Comic-Con could be, and a lot of other cool stuff, Star Wars figures. But we're gonna talk a little bit about some other announcements. G.I. Joe and Marvel Legends. Hasbro's killing it. I mean, what do you all think? I mean,
they're
are
the
killing
premier toy line, dude. I mean, I know I love Mattel, but like Hasbro is the food chain, man. They just, especially lately. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's. I think the most exciting thing that Mattel has done in recent has been the re-release of Street Sharks.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay.
Right here.
You see, look at.
All right.
But, yeah. I mean, you know what? For perfect example, as we move in to talk about HasLab, you could also talk about Mattel Creations, but no one does. So it's not.
I know. Yeah, but they sold the Attorney playset, and that was like $500.
Yeah,
and that funded,
but no one cared.
Exactly, only the 500 people that did. That's it. Yeah. I do collect Origins too. I'm a huge Origins fan, so it's like I'm the only person. It's
well, yeah, I think I think you're right, Moocher, on one aspect is that I think that Mattel Creations just needs to catch up. I think it's certain things with their IPs. You know, it's like they have Jurassic Park, and I think they have a good idea with Mattel Creations. They just haven't really executed it well, except for 1 or 2 times.
Yeah,
and it's like the Jurassic Park gates. Did anybody really want that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mattel is also probably comfortable in their own lane too, because again, they have some really good successes in their Barbie lines and that Monster High for that aspect of it, and then of course He-Man Masters it's a huge IP, and especially if they do a movie correctly, you know what I mean? Because they've been talking about doing a live action, which is propel that even further. But But yeah, I mean, they're like play second fiddle to Hasbro. I think they know it, and I think they're comfortable with it.
Obviously, because
Yeah.
I don't see them making that many kind of mediocre changes. I think the same thing with Jurassic Park is like, look, I think the dinosaurs are great. I think the Hammond collection looked great.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, what are they? They maybe need to start developing their own lore.
I agree.
In order
I
to
agree.
get people interested in the stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of big announcements. I think before the convention, obviously the biggest one was the anticipation of the HasLab project, a GI Joe, and it's already funded, which is incredibly insane. And then a lot of other news, and then Marvel came in and announced a couple of different things as well. Surprisingly, no HasLab announced from the Marvel Legends line, but the way they're going about, kind of in a sense, you pay upfront order on a Dragon Man figure. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So is that going to be the future of figures? Are they going to put these like limited release big figures, and it's in a sense crowdfunding a lot more Punisher figure? But let's jump into first, I think the biggest news, which is HasLab. It has arrived. Darth, you mentioned the hour before you paid for it. I think a lot of the folks here on this cast have came to fruition. It was the Rattler.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the HasLab?
Yeah. No surprise, right? It was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I was just waiting. Just tell me where to pay. That's it. I mean, it was telegraphed a mile wide as far as what it is. And I was cool with it. When I was searching, I was like, yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Tiers. Except for that second tier. I think it's flawless besides that second tier.
It's the first tier.
The first tier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
sorry.
the one.
The
That's
first
the
tier.
one.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. I funded it just because of the first tier. So the second tier is a little lackluster.
Yeah, exactly.
Your first tier is
Who wants
patchy.
those figures?
Yeah.
no.
Now I've got
Right.
to I've
Yeah.
got to go to YouTube and find out how to sew on a patch. So, but I was all in, man. Like, especially like a lot of the talk was the size of how big is this thing going to be,
Wow,
and the dimensions were like when the wings are out, it's 31 inches by 30 or 30 by 30, and it's a beefy HasLab, but it is beautiful. Look at, I mean, it's electronics. It comes with Wild Weasel, all the blast effects that comes with all the missiles and everything, and the stand. To me,
I love the
too.
blue gunshots too. It's you've got the animated style blue lasers. Yeah, it's
yeah. So I was 100% in on this. Since like I said, before they even rumored, before that poster came out, was with the rumored HasLab. I was in.
I just like the fact that it's so big they had to make the wings fold up.
Yeah. Yeah.
nuts.
The one thing I'll say is that the HasLab is paying attention to, with this one and the Cantina, right? They are paying attention to displaying it on a shelf, not a tabletop, right? So with the Cantina, they said they separated off and these things. It fit great, and they give you examples of it. The Rattler, same thing, folding wings up so you can, if you wanted to, put it on a thinner shelf and display it that way. They're giving you those options, which I think is great. They're paying attention to that versus someone have to regut the toy room just for put it in the middle or something.
I think the one aspect that I was shocked about, and it was pleasant, was the flight stand, because they did introduce the flight stand with the Dragonfly at first, but this one's a modular flight stand where they were like, because the biggest problem I have, I'm sure Scott, you've got it too, is where are we putting all these blast effects and everything? Are we keeping them in the box? Because that's where a bunch of my His Tank blast effects and everything it gave me is sitting in a box. But this one was like on a flight stand. They have a drawer that pulls out that you put in. I thought, like, wow.
Fantastic, right? Yeah.
That's pretty damn smart because, again, like, you never know if you do want to display it with the blast effects. I've got to go into a storage unit and get the box. And
that is a selling point, I'm telling you, for a lot of people to be like, okay, that might make or break sometimes, Yeah.
So it was great to see that finally, and to no one's surprise, it is funded, and now it's like, how far can this go? Will this be the most funded GI Joe HasLab project? It's on its way to tracking. I mean, we're 1 day into 45 days. It could be interesting here.
We're at 10,100 right now as we speak.
Incredible.
900 away from those patches.
Yep.
Can't wait.
And,
You guys want to trade? Like get together and trade patches and like
Are we all going to be one? Which one are we all going to use?
yeah.
So
Hey,
out of us, who backed it? Other than Moocher, who else backed it?
And I'm not even a Joe
Not me.
collector, but that
I'm not a
thing
Joe-
was
I'm
like,
not
neither.
Scott,
it's just like that
exactly.
deserves.
And we have to say they're probably the smartest guys saving $300 for the amount of money. So there'll be guys like if we were at Comic-Con, they would be thinking to themselves, "My credit card's not hurt." I'm good.
Like I
We
raised
would be
my
the
hand.
guys
I'm not
that are
proud
like, "I
of
can't
it.
pay for dinner
Yeah,
anymore."
This isn't like I'm happy. It's just like I got it. It's
I love G.I. Joe. I love Cobra. I've got Cobra tattooed on my arm. But I just can't. I have no room for it. It's too big.
I want to buy two of them and make a Quinjet and then put all my Marvel Legends in it. That's my goal.
I feel Scott also on the point about room wise because at one point, how are you displaying this stuff? And that's the killer. It's like, look, I love the vintage line, and I think the vintage line is way easier because I see way more displays with people having hundreds of vehicles behind them compared to like you've got to unless like the Stinger or the Vamp sitting up there. Vamp's not bad, the Stinger's not bad. You can find space for that. They can fit inside conventional shelves, but like the Dragonfly, the Hiss, the Rattler, they're all going to have to be above items, and you're thinking like, look, this line's not slowing down.
Yeah,
I think we got at least another 5 or 6 years with them not doing anything to
because
it.
what's next, right? Sky Striker, like, okay, where do I? Yeah, you're right. It's like, but still at the same time, we're living in it. So
let's talk about some stuff that might be easier to display in a couple of figures. So I think one figure in general, I don't want to get your all thoughts on it, is the Road Pig and Raucous figure. So how are we feeling about this one?
Bought it today.
That's very clear.
I will not pre-order figures Joe's anymore because I can go up to Walmart or Target right now and pick up anything I need. But this
Walmart
particular one, that
don't tell them. That's our secret.
I'm not telling you shit. That particular photo right there did sell me on it, though. I love the goofy look on his face. I think that's awesome. I will definitely buy him. So I was on the fence until I saw that photo.
I learned my lesson on pre-ordering with the Indiana Jones figures.
Where
I paid full price for them all,
I know.
I could have just waited and gone to Target, picked them up at like $7
a
each.
week later.
I feel you on that one too. Is like, look, there's a lot of things that I've kind of slowed down on the pre-order points. There's certain items like Stinger I pre-ordered. I think I did the 260th anniversary or the newest 260th anniversary characters because those were just ones I didn't feel like I wanted to wait and see if they were going to peg burn. But most of the other line, like just the standard figures, I've been doing the weight game on it, and it's been paying off extremely well. So I don't think you have to do the the FOMO scenario on some of these items, but I do think like the claw, I think that's probably smart to pre-order that. There's a couple of items that it's going to go
many
out
vehicles, anything that's like maybe Road Pig too. I'm sure you'll find him, but he's very popular. Like all the Dread Knights, he's very well known. It's one of those things a lot of people will pick him up too, because of that. So, but yeah, any mini vehicles definitely pre-order if you want to get it.
Well, I liked him just because of the dog. That good-looking dog.
Crooked Smile says I don't like the Road Pig at all. He is supposed to be muscular and the body is more Sova. All right. And I think it's like, it's a little different because I think that this was one where I know Lenny was talking about this on the panel, was they kind of changed his design a little bit because, and if you look at the classic line, he is really huge like a football player, but also this one's a heart to the level of he does look like a modern big football. He's kind of got the big on top, and if you've seen like any of the line, like the offensive linemen,
he was like Brock Lesnar as an action figure. I mean, it's Brock Lesnar, man.
But I like the fact that he's a huge character.
I do too.
We haven't really gotten that, and I think it's also Nemesis Enforcer is going to be a very large character. So
yeah,
it's kind of nice to see the contrast of those.
Yeah, this is like what Scott and I always talk about too, about the classified versus retro looking stuff, where it's sometimes it's a hard sell because they modernize a G.I. Joe or a classified to the point where it's like it doesn't necessarily match. But I'm always like, but the retro line is so popular, it'll come just like rock and roll, right? I mean,
like not to be a dick about it, but the tattoo on his stomach threw me. I'm like, Brad Pitt didn't have a tattoo on his stomach. I'm like, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I think it says Dreadnoks. I don't know. I can't quite read that. But that's
it says Thug Life on it.
With a Y.
I do appreciate the modernization of a 6-inch version of Joe's because we have that choice of the retros and those are coming out too. But I do appreciate it because it is a different, refreshing take on it. I might be in the minority on that, but because a lot of people want a 1-to-1 direct, Joe's going forward, but but it's like, but at the same time, you had it, right? You had it when we were kids. We had it. Now we get to experience this too. Plus, retro.
I mean, you have,
so
that's why they did the retro line, so they can actually call it back.
It's coming.
And one example of this is that they have learned from, and I haven't seen them do a pivot like this in a very long time, but everybody was absolutely furious over Falcon. They were like, my God, that was the worst sculpt I have seen that came out of a major company.
Yeah.
Now I love the way they said that the new Night Force pack,
right?
They had the brand new head sculpt, and the first thing they said was, "Don't worry, it comes off. You can take that head sculpt and put it back on." I'm like, no, damn it, you should have just sent us all a head sculpt in the mail.
But they did us dirty on that too because that's a Night Force, right? And the beret does not.
The beret comes off. No.
I thought it doesn't come off.
No, he said.
Oh, Alex, you saved me.
The beret comes off.
You saved me. Thank you.
Can switch it. So I'm like, wow, if they do that, they're on the money on that, man.
Good, because I have a Falcon with no head right now.
Yeah,
same.
A lot of people
right over there.
Awesome. Great. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad I joined the podcast tonight. This is great.
For that one reason.
Yeah, now I can go, right?
Crooked Smiles also said that I thought the Cover Girl is a terrible head sculpt. I think they've got a room, but don't worry, when they retro line that, they're going to fix that sculpt too.
Oh,
though.
Yeah. Retros are killing it.
Yeah, they are.
So good.
Look, I saw the same thing when Scott said about rock and roll. I'm like, look, that's not the Sunbow rock and roll that I'm used to. I want to see them in the old military gear.
Right, and now we're getting them.
You're giving me the same thing with Tripwire. I did not like the look of Tripwire when they kind of like modernized them. I'm just looking for
Hurt Locker,
that or Zap or any of the older characters. Just give me in the greens. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Stalker. Whenever Stalker came out, why is he gray? Why is Stalker wearing gray?
Mm-hmm. Good news, Scott, because
I know he's coming. I ordered him. That was my first Joe Stalker, and
Stalker's great.
I love the fact that in the original vintage figure, he had a great big green Pac-Man shape on his chest. And I'm like, every one of them had that. I'm like, why doesn't this? They need to do that too. They need to put that big old green Pac-Man shape on his chest. So
dumb. Again, Hasbro really coming with some heavy ammunition, and it's so great the timing of the HasLab unveiling right in the heart of San Diego Comic-Con.
It's been rough, man. It's only 2 days.
They have captured all the news, man. You think about all the action figure stuff, from Sideshow to Mezco, like they have all their different niche, but like Hasbro really has dominated the news with the latest announcements in all the different lines. And we talked about Star Wars the previous hour, G.I. Joe, and then obviously Marvel Legends is another one that had some big releases, and a couple of different things that was released. One in particular, so it's interesting because there was a figure in The Punisher that hasn't been made since 2020, and the thoughts were Disney was not on board with the Punisher figure. We hadn't seen him since the Netflix series, super violent character, guns. And so everyone was thinking we're never going to get another figure. And then all of a sudden Deadpool, Wolverine comes out, rated our feature. The philosophy has changed. And then for the first time, I think unanticipated, is that we finally get our first look at a Punisher figure. And it is from War Journal, which is even more interesting if you follow the comic books. but pretty rad that we finally get to see a new Punisher figure for this year. So quick thoughts on it. It's pretty neat, some cool accessories, and I'm excited about this because again, we've been waiting a long time for a Punisher figure.
I'm excited about this one. I believe this was a Jim Lee design, right?
It is.
But it kind of reminds me of the Walgreens exclusive Punisher with the headband, except this one looks way better. And that Walgreens one's is actually really hard to find. So if you can find it, you want to get it. But this is cool, and I know they talked a little bit about the other figure and how uncomfortable that was to make. So.
Well, the minute I saw him and Bushwhack, I was like, this is Jim Lee's Acts of Vengeance, the Punisher War Journal. I remember that was like when Jim was in his early days and experimentations and primes, and like I have been waiting for that character for the longest. And now that I have him, and especially I love the way they showed the covers during the panel where we were like, oh, this is our inspiration from that. And I'm like, wow, it's like I knew there's my screensaver on my phone. There's a Jim Lee drawn pencil drawing of Ghost Rider, and it has the Punisher War Journal from those heydays. And I was like, man, it'd be nice if they actually came out with like a Jim Lee version. So when the Ghost Rider, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider goes on the shelf, there'd be a Punisher with it. Match and match. Great job, Marvel Legends.
Yep, that's the Jim Lee Punisher is what got me into Punisher. So I'll probably be picking that up.
Crooked Smile says he's excited for the Punisher. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And guess who we have popped into the show as usual? Meeks. When is the R-rated Punisher film? I mean, I got a feeling he's going to be on Born Again, right? The series. So you're going to see it R-rated again.
Well, you guys seen? We're not going to talk about it, but I know you've seen the Deadpool movie, right? And that's like the testing ground for Disney's going into that hard R, and it'll go on Disney Plus, and everybody's got a password now to get into the more violent
the dirty
nature.
Side.
The dirty side of Disney Plus. I would if the money's there and the box office numbers are there. I feel Disney will lean into it.
Yeah, they're going to.
And they'd be the smartest company to do if they did lean into it. If they want to just keep it all nice and flowery, then whatever, they're going to lose money. But they're going to go a route that people are going to dump. Yeah,
it's definitely a hard R. This movie. They're not joking around.
Well, that's what's great, because again, it's like, oh, Disney could do an R-rated movie, but it's like, all right, what considers an R-rated movie? A 3 F words, whatever. But not with Deadpool. Deadpool has always been like very over the top.
All I'll say is everyone knows
Disney Plus. Yes,
Disney Plus. All I'll say is everyone knows that it's a hard R for Deadpool. And when I went to the show, my friend and I were sitting there, and this family had come in with kids that were maybe 9 years old, but they had a newborn with them. I churned into asshole mode, and I was like, two things here. One, I'm already pissed off that your kid is cooing in the Romulus, and number two, shut that thing up when the movie starts, because if you don't, I am the guy that will get your ass kicked out, because you shouldn't bring kids to this movie anyways. I think that some people just need to knock it off. But with that, Marvel also announced their Deadpool Wolverine figures.
I did see those, and you know what? I can't wait to get the Hugh Jackman version, because like everybody said, we've been waiting so long to see him in the uniform, but also in the action figure form, because the Toy Biz did some really good lines with him. But this is accurate. I've always wanted to see him in it. that will be on the shelf. Again, Marvel Legends is just like, look, somebody's got to do something about this. And I don't know if there's a petition that needs to be signed, but we need to stop Hasbro, because Hasbro is killing us.
Slow down.
I think too much. I think the only argument to be made, and I saw a couple of other like toy influencers mention this as well. But typically when there was a movie that was released, you would see the figures simultaneously. Like you'd be able to go tomorrow and go to Target or go to.
You should be able to do that.
But we're pre-ordering tomorrow for a movie that a lot of us have seen, and so I think there's probably an inherent problem with like, hey, it should be like it should co-align with the movie's release. Why does it take so long? Why am I waiting?
And do you think
until September, October, even back end of the year for some of these figures?
Yeah. Do you think it's because they're waiting to see what the box office does? Because that today's day and age, everybody review bombs everything.
But Deadpool Wolverine, though, it seems like
a
given.
But
you can't.
It's Disney. I'm just saying, like, if they did it with this one, they'd have to do it with all of them. You know what I mean? It's almost like setting something. I was talking first, Scott.
I know. This is how we roll on the digest.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? I wonder if not, maybe Deadpool Wolverine aside, maybe it's because they always wait and to see what's happening, if there's longevity in movies before they go all out with merchandise, which is, we grew up with the opposite. We always grew up having that in hand and then going to see it
at the moment
as we're watching it, so we understand the need for that. But I feel Disney or even Hasbro got scared during the 2020s and 2019 and ever since Last Jedi. Really, they got scared on every level.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Scott.
And Hot Toys is releasing a brown seed version.
Oh, yeah, wow. All right. Yeah.
Why do
you gotta tell me that? Oh man, I gotta get that one. Come on.
For some reason, Hasbro decided to go all in on the Acolyte, right? And whenever the Acolyte dropped, by episode 4, you could go to the store and pick up those figures.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think of the Acolyte, that's exactly how it should be done.
Exactly.
And for some reason, like Playmates toys, I know Playmates toys are manufactured in Taiwan, whereas Hasbro is manufactured in China. I don't know if that is some kind of a difference, but anytime Playmates has a movie coming out like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you can go watch Mutant Mayhem or whatever that movie was. You could go to Target the same day and buy the main characters. And that is the way it has always been.
Yeah.
Playmates has always had their heads firmly lodged on their shoulders. They're able to get the product on the shelf at the same time that a movie is in the store. And I don't know if that's because of their manufacturing, the location of the manufacturing, or if they just produced that early. I don't know, man. But Hasbro, we used to have Force Fridays, right? Even back in the 90s, we would have Force Fridays. In the early 2000s, I remember opening day of the Revenge of the Sith. You could go in and you could bring your figures in there with you and reenact it if you wanted to, right?
Unfortunately, it's a very small physical hobby anymore, because like I said, we don't have the toy stores. We don't have like, if it's a section this big, for Star Wars, when we used to have aisles. I'm throwing Star Wars as in the as far as like the vastness of it, but now it's a digital thing, pre-orders and gauging people's audience by like digital renders first, or here's a SketchUp, or here's a name only reveal, and then they sit there, I bet you, on social media and go, all right, we got great response on this one, not so much on this one, and they do that instead of like I said, for us growing up as kids, we walk into a Zodi's and be like picking them off the shelf.
TG&Y, man.
Didn't even know
TG&Y.
Yeah, so
I got Meeks has a particular issue with that. It's not our fault you decide to have kids and can't find a babysitter. Leave them at home and fend for themselves, like our parents did in the 90s and the 80s.
80s, yeah.
And here's a pack of hot dogs. Don't open the door. You got a pack of hot dogs?
Yeah, you got hot dogs. Whoa. We're like, we'll be back when we're back.
Yeah, I got saltine crackers.
I'll run
I'll run her. What's up?
I will say something about Deadpool and Wolverine. You cannot release any figures
besides Deadpool and Wolverine, because every other figure is going to be a spoiler.
Yeah.
And so this would be released like 6 months ahead of time, 3 months before the movie.
Here's my problem with that. Okay, they worked so hard to not have any spoilers for this movie to be released. In fact, they even made separate things for the trailer that when you watch the movie, you're like, oh crap, but then Friday night in Hall H, they bring out all the actors. So they just spoil.
Like I haven't even seen the movie and I saw that. Yeah.
So
I didn't.
Don't spoil it.
So just don't go watch that until you see the
wait
movie.
till after the weekend till you guys.
I turned it off. I was like, oh great.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to remember the last time that Marvel had the figures readily available when the movie released was the Eternals figures, and we all know where they ended up.
Those are
still there.
In Ross.
So there might be a little
exactly
bit of
where they left
reluctancy.
them.
Yes, there might be hesitation.
They
So
did name it the Internals. It's supposed to always.
They will eternally be on shelves.
That's right.
And let's see, Meeks and everything said Deadpool and Wolverine got new skins released on Oh man, boy, they're really taking it. Boy, they're hitting the big machine behind them. Fortnite.
That's Ryan Reynolds for you. Ryan Reynolds, even
very marketable.
Watching Welcome to Wrexham, he was bringing in the Deadpool actors. He even their coffee that Wrexham sponsors has the Deadpool logo on it. I'm like, oh my god, you know how to work it, man. It's great.
Yeah.
But we could get a Sabretooth figure. I mean, we all know Sabretooth is there from the trailer. I mean, there's
we'll see. I think that's everyone's looking for like additional figures from the movie. Maybe we'll see, but clearly not everything was announced. There was a few that were in the movie, but I think one of the other things that came from the Marvel announcement was no HasLab, which was surprising for some, maybe not for others. But they released the Dragon Man, which is a figure that retail is like $600-700 on eBay. That was part of the Fantastic Four line back in the late 90s. So it's early 90s actually to try to find that, but it's made to order, which is very interesting. And we'll flash the screen here to take a look at this beast of a figure. But I think it begs the question of like, is this a kind of a test run, if you will, for Hasbro to release some of these larger figures that might be $150-200, but not invest in putting them on the shelves. So this is the figure here.
First off, I love the made to order idea.
What do you like all the pre-orders?
So
I didn't get to hear this, so like I'm curious because I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I think it was muted. I saw this release, but I didn't know what the process was.
Yeah, like Darth Moocher was saying, like here's this made to order. So I think it's like, hey, let's not invest in a ton of inventory.
Yeah.
Especially these expensive big figures that sometimes sit on the shelves. But here's like a figure that a lot of people don't know, like unless you're like a Marvel head or an old time collector. Cool figure. Let's test the waters. But is this the future? And do you like this idea? It sounds like Darth, you definitely are on board with this.
I absolutely do, because there are so many figures from every line. You can even get into classifieds, like all those that it's almost like it's not worthy for a HasLab because you get all these different things and tiers and all that, and it's too expensive to be put on a shelf. And we've said this so many times, as far as like, put out a made to order, even give us 30 days on it and then make it. And then you get, of course they're going to have a minimum of something, because it's got to be worth their while, right? You can't just have like 3 people do it and spend all this tooling money. But I think it's a great idea for them to introduce, and you don't have to oversaturate it. You could do it on these, like, okay, here's one in between a HasLab or something where it is a little bit more expensive, but there's an opportunity to get these figures that you can get one too. And again, it's like if it's retail or pre-order, it might sell out. Throw on eBay. Therefore, everybody has a shot at it. And I love this idea to spread through all the IPs.
Yeah, it's something that they did with the E-Wing, and they also did it with I believe the Sabine figures. They gave you a window. They said, here's your window that you can order this thing. there's no reason why you should be able to log on to Hasbro Pulse right now and see pre-orders sold out on a figure that just dropped, 2 days ago.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. That is absolute horseshit right there. You should be able to have a window to pre-order a figure, and just like that. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think the Rancor would have, if that could have gone in this type of experiment versus, because that ultimately failed, right? That didn't get funded. That project.
No, it didn't
I don't
know
at all. What was the cost? I don't even remember what the starting
320.
320. But that sounds like a project like the similar, the Ghost Rider car that didn't get funded either. That could have been right. Like that could have been something where that. So I'm on board with made to order. Just make sure it's like few and far between.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, spread it out, man. yeah, exactly. Because now it's not just a wave of figures you're going to spend $120 on. You're going to spend a wave of figures and then another $120 on a made to order, and then a $300 HasLab, and then another wave right behind it. So yes, spread it out, or make an announcement way ahead of time too, so we can prepare for this stuff.
But not just those made to order big ticket items either. You shouldn't have to.
I agree. $24
pre-order for
yeah.
You shouldn't see sold out for a figure that's not going to drop for another
instead
year.
of a peg warmer, for example, a background character that we've been clamoring for Star Wars. Well, say, hey, we're going to do this, but of course we have to have a minimum of a 500 or 1,000 or whatever it is. But they would only make this figure if we actually know how runner base.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. No, I think you're right. I think that one is gonna increase the pricing. It's almost like a build a figure, but yet not. Because if there's a limited portion, there's some people like, I don't want Dragon Man. I don't care how good he is. And they're going to leave it on the shelf. And then later on, they start reading comics and everything, start getting involved and be like, man, I really wish I could get an actual Dragon Man. Well, now you're going to get it through the secondary market now.
Yeah. So what if that takes place of a build-a-figure too? Like, I think about it.
I think it is, because I can tell
they're getting paid for it.
Last couple of build-a-figure lines, there's a couple of characters I didn't care about. And I was like, I don't want to.
It's almost like pick and choose, right? You give the audience like, hey guys, here's this character. It's not gonna be a mainline thing because it's not it's a pay, whatever it is. It might not be popular, but there is a need for this, and so we're gonna do this and make it. And that's it. We're not gonna produce it anymore, and it gives us all an opportunity to do it. I think it's a good idea to get those obscure background characters, as long as the minimums are there, right?
I don't know. It's a very interesting point. I think this will happen soon and I think he's right. Walmart and Target will get the point soon, and it will start selling. Look, I think Walmart and Target is starting to get some of that point, because, like, other than Scott's Walmart and Targets, everything down here in the Temecula area, they ain't crap. It's
you got a terrible.
You could also ask the Mad Hatter who just moved into my neighborhood. He knows it's crap. They have 5 or 6 of them in the area and 3 Walmarts. And I've never seen a Night Force G.I. Joe classified at any Walmart. And Target is just like, if you're lucky, if you're in that store, you see that character, don't be like, I'll come back a couple of days later. Buy it then, buy it there, because you're never going to see it again.
That's why I pre-order everything, and if I find it, or if Scott finds it in a store for me, I'll cancel, because I don't go to stores. So.
I got to say one other thing as it relates to San Diego Comic-Con and the figures, and I'd love to get your guys' perspective from a Star Wars, because I don't know how often that happens, but when figures are not selling and then they repackage them with accessories. So we're going to flash the screen here, because this one is kind of controversial, and understandably, because this figure, Kang, we know Kang Dynasty and the whole Marvel thing with Jonathan Majors abandoning or getting abandoned, if you will, out of the Marvel line. This figure was already released for some time now, and it didn't do well. And in fact, if you went to Hasbro Pulse, you could probably get it for $15. But they did end up repackaging this, and now he has his chair and a couple of accessories. And so it's interesting, because people are like, so you're taking a figure that didn't sell really well. There's no future in the MCU at this point, at least what we don't know. And now you're just stacking him on a couple other things, and you're trying to push him down the throat. So has that happened in the Star Wars line as well? Because this is the one that I think people are kind of questioning. Well, it's not really a new release in a sense.
Yeah. Well, first off, accessories in Star Wars are can't be more further from like just every Star Wars figure. Besides like these deluxe, even sometimes that they don't come with a lot of accessories, right? What I was saying is I don't remember them doing a repackage. Say if a figure didn't sell, and then okay, we're going to give the chair and some other things. If they do. I don't know if that's been a thing yet, Scott. Has it?
I know. I'm trying to think of it. The only figure I can think of that is like the consummate peg warmer is Lando, and I don't see them.
If they say okay, for example, you have Lando Calrissian with a blaster and a speaker, like a little walkie-talkie, I forgot what it's called, transmitter. If they repackaged them to include something from Bespin, something from more accessories, it's the accessories that would sell it.
Yeah,
the ice cream maker.
Yeah,
I think he's right in that. If Lando Calrissian came with a bottle of Colt 45, damn it, it'd be on my shelf right there, right now. Like, just give us some items that we know, because what's better associated with Lando?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Billy D. Williams. My bad.
Yeah. No, but to answer your question, I don't think Star Wars has done that. I don't think they've done that. I think they just move on to something else.
I'm trying to think of anything in the past that would have been repacked like that.
So that's so interesting because it's the first time. I mean, there's been a couple of instances previously, but this is one that is a very clear strategy. Let's put it in a prettier box. Let's give them a chair. Let's give them some accessories and see if we can sell them. And so people are like, did you just have these molds sitting around on pegs and you're just trying
other than the head,
sell
I think
it?
they changed the head.
They put two heads, two interchangeable heads.
Star Wars doesn't do it because the figure's not selling. They do it because the figure is selling, and then they just put more accessories into it. A perfect example is Grogu, right? Little 1-inch figure. And then you have the same Grogu that sells, and then he's just got different accessories every single time. And every time it's sold until people are like,
sells.
I caught on after $80 of Grogu's. I caught on. But they repackage it with more accessories because it's selling. It's like an almost opposite thing.
Smiles also says if you want to sell Lando, yes, 2-pack. Yes, now he's right on that one.
Sold.
And
Meeks is even closer, though.
Yeah, Meeks is better. And Meeks, I'm telling you, just give us what we want. Just give us what we want. Dan.
I saw Billy D signing one time at the LA Comic Cons when it was back in the Shrine Auditorium, and someone brought a Colt 45 for it. He couldn't sell it. He couldn't sign it, but he took a picture with it. Yeah, because
awesome.
His contract, it has to be Lucasfilm license. It has to be Lucasfilm approved.
Well, we saw him at the I think it was the Wizard World Anaheim when
I remember. Yeah.
He was there first time. We were walking in line, myself and Shadow, and we saw him in line, and he was signing other things that Lucasfilms didn't see, because there was there was mothers, there was daughters, and then there were granddaughters waiting in line. And I have to give him credit. Like, that is not just an on-screen performance. Yeah. Billy D. Williams is the coolest brother in town.
He is.
He was signing non-Lucas products.
Maybe his contract was up at that time.
Let's be clear. He is one of the coolest characters in Star Wars.
Of course. Yes.
No, without a doubt.
He's one of the coolest characters on Earth.
Yeah. Are they making that? Is that movie or TV series being
Lando being written by Donald Glover, right?
So he's writing it too.
And his brother. Him and his brother are writing it. There's speculation it might be an animated series or live action. We don't know what it's going to be involved yet, but
possibly with both he and Billy D playing the role.
Oh, and it could be a movie too. That was another thing. It could be just a movie or a series. So it is still in the thought process of production. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Hasn't been canceled yet. So.
My only Billy D story is I was driving on Mulholland delivering a package, and he almost drove me off the road.
But he did
gigantic
it with
Rolls
a smile,
Royce,
though, right? Yeah,
because you knew it was him, because he was like,
I got to go. We got to go.
Was he in a land speeder? Is the question.
No, it was a Rolls Royce. If they make land speeders, I don't know.
They might. They might.
One thing I wanted to mention, Hal Runner, you mentioned in the chat. So Black Series should consider doing a Build-A-Figure, and Marvel's kind of going away from Build-A-Figures, which is quite interesting. And Star Wars really hasn't been known for that. So your thoughts on Build-A-Figures? Because it seems like the industry is changing a bit. And, part of the reason, at least, from what I read, my opinion is that the Build-A-Figures, especially for like some of the highly collectible individual Marvel Legends, they go up in price. All of a sudden the BAFs are $115, $120 in the resale market. The reason why this, the Venom pool that was released pissed off a lot of the resellers, because that fetching $100, now you could get it for what I think is going to start at $40.
Yeah, well,
they literally the same thing. Right.
When they started reissuing a Build-A-Figure on a mainline or a HasLab, you know what I mean? Like then that's kind of waters it down a bit, where now people are probably losing interest in it. Like, oh, forget, I'm not, because that used to be a seller. You buy all 5 figures for that build, so there's no peg warmers, right? You have to have it. For us, it might be a little different on our mindset, and it's when it comes to Star Wars, because Star Wars, we're completion. I mean, yes, you guys might be too, as far as like Marvel Legends, but we're definitely a completionist. So if we get a background character, it doesn't even matter which one it is, as long as it's a Star Wars background character, and if it's a Build-A-Figure, we need that for our collection. So there's not like, well, I don't like him, I'm not buying him. You know what I mean? Or a droid or stuff like that. So there's a different mentality of it, and I would love to see it incorporated into Black Series. I think it would be great, just to get something else to flesh out this collection.
Richard, I think Smiles, who's sorry about this, Scott, but who's a retailer, actually has his opinion. Marvel is going to wait for Build-A-Figures so people steal the parts and leave the rest.
Well, there you go. That too, yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it too. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I would prefer Star Wars to have additional accessories, extra hands, extra heads, rather than a Build-A-Figure. Build-A-Figure, who are you going to choose? And most. Like me, mine's the vintage collection. That's my key, right? I love the vintage collection. I love the card backs that they come on. I would rather have that Build-A-Figure on an individual card. I'd rather spend more money to have it carded than to take apart a bunch of figures to build one. And I'd rather have the hands and the weapons and the heads and stuff like that. I think that's the way Hasbro should go.
I get that. I sometimes I forget about the mint and card, because I've been out of the mint and card game so long that I forget about the collectability sometimes of figures, where
us weirdos.
I mean, I was one. I just moved away from that kind of thing. Now it's all open and 6-inch, right? So I get that. So yeah, I'd have to think about it. I mean, if it's beneficial for the collective to incorporate that, or is it something that we really want to build accessories would be great, maybe instead of figures.
Yeah, build a doorway or something like that.
Build a figure. Yeah, I don't know if that would have helped, but
do you think there's room in the G.I. Joe line for build a vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Small vehicles like that. Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
Like the Trouble Bubble would have been a great build a vehicle, right? You know what I mean?
That would have been
small enough to do it.
Yeah.
But I think they're not
canopy. Yeah,
they're not having trouble selling these. Well, at least most of them. But it'd be interesting to see a new ticket. Sounds like Hasbro's trying some new things here.
Yeah,
some that will work out, and some will not. We're approaching the last couple minutes of this 2-hour San Diego Comic-Con back-to-back podcast. And I wanted to just get everyone's last thoughts on just San Diego. What are you all looking forward to over the next couple of months? But, again, I'd be remiss without thanking Sarlacc Digest, Darth Moocher, and Scott Solo from being part of Pixels and Plastic Inc. here on the Shadowe Knows Network. And obviously check out their channel as well. Lots of amazing content and podcasts. And we'll wrap it up with just, final thoughts here. But I'll start with you, Chet. Like what? There's 2 days left of San Diego, so who else knows with some major releases, news, your thoughts on what are you looking forward to over the next few months heading into the back end of the year?
I mean, as a collector, I think I'm excited to see all the stuff that's coming down the line. Like you have all the pre-orders from previous, so all those starting to ship and get into people's hands. I'm curious to see if there's any more announcements of things from Hasbro, just in general, because I think they've destroyed the first 2 days of Comic-Con,
and our wallets too.
Yeah, and our wallets. I'm just looking forward to getting the figures in hand, because they're so. I mean, you're spending. There's so many figures that are coming that people were ordering. That's just like,
yeah,
right, show up in the hands, and you see it. You see it in people's hands. It's like, it's good.
I think how Runner basically does have a very good point about that. I do know I saw the Hasbro booth, and they did have the Transformer 1, so I'm pretty sure that maybe in the next day or two, there's going to be
tomorrow is the Transformers panel, which I'm looking forward to also.
Yeah. So I think something else is coming on that. I will basically say that I think that Hasbro did kill off every damn piece of competition at Comic-Con. If you were small, like Fresh Monkey Fiction or like, anybody else, there's nothing you can do this weekend because you just got basically busted.
I mean,
their whole stage, the upstairs and downstairs, that reminded me very much of G4. They basically came in and kicked your asses. 2025, you better come with your game because Hasbro's already shown that they've taken off the white glove and given you the slap for the duel.
Yeah.
Be nice to Fresh Monkey Fiction. I like those guys.
No. It's with their we
basically overshadow
I get it.
Everything they're doing, and it's a shame because you got Savage Crucibles, Fisk is down there. There's so many small competitors, and no one is talking about them. It's unfortunate because
it's 2 days left though. 2 days left. So
not even small competitors though. Like NECA got drowned out in all of the Hasbro news,
and they had some great reveals too. And I forgot about them. I forgot about them.
NECA nailed it.
NECA's great.
And they just no one's talking.
No.
You dropped the Rattler announcement as your first thing. It's kind of here we go. Here we go.
And NECA's like, let's pack up the booth.
Yeah. Well, there's always 2025.
Scott, what are you looking forward to the next couple months?
Hopefully recouping or letting my wallet recover. That would be great. No, in the next couple of months, I'm looking forward to actually hopefully getting the Ghost in the HasLab Ghost from last year. I mean that's got to be coming up soon. I hope.
When does it ship? Did it say like a kind of fall? Or?
Fall,
right?
2024.
So did the Dragonfly.
So the Dragonfly.
The Dragonfly is coming in December. I know this now.
Yeah,
so I hope so. I hope you're getting it.
Probably get the Ghost in October or September, man. I wouldn't be surprised.
That'd be great.
I'd like that. That'd be great. Actually, that's the thing about HasLab. You put out the money up front. It's coming eventually, but there's such a gap between spending that money and getting it. It's nice to have the proof that you didn't just throw the money out the window. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like a Kickstarter campaign. You just hoping that they actually go through with it, but HasLab's coming through with it.
Yeah.
Darth Moocher, what say you?
With just how we've been talking about the seem pivotal shift that Hasbro's doing, right? Like, and again, I think we're all in on Hasbro IPs for the most part, like all of it. And the way that they're presenting things and the way they're doing things, like I said, these many changes going forward, I am really excited for HasCon now to see what if that trend continues, right? If it's an anomaly for Comic-Con and they start going with their, kind of like, old school stuff, and it'd be like, here's a new repackaged everything, and then so now we're gonna go like, okay, that was just for Comic-Con. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing if it's a progression of Hasbro going forward, and if we can credit Mr. Stevie for that, I'm all for it. Like if that's the guy that came in and say, look, we need a little more like a refreshing, like Alex said, their booth, like the booth was amazing. The way they came and presented all their live streams and the way they did it, I hadn't seen a lot of negativity coming out of Comic-Con on that end in a long time. Even the chat, right? The live stream chats, full of. There was some there. Don't get me wrong. It's not all good, but it was more positive than negative. And I think people are seeing these changes. So, I'm not looking forward to more pre-ordering because again, it's just like there's a point where you're going to stop. You can't order everything. And they're going to shoot themselves in the foot that way, right? I know they want to make as much money as they can, but we've only got so much disposable income, especially if the guys who correct multiple IPs. Like I said, the Transformers one is coming out probably tomorrow, and they're probably having a couple more because I'm all about the 86 line. So whatever,
Here's the thing I wanted to ask Scott just on one question. What was his thoughts on Starduster? Because I know you did the Starduster or was involved with it a little bit for the SoCal Joe show. So what did you think about Starduster popping up? And that's not on pre-order until probably the HasCon. So.
Right. No, I think it looks great. I love the fact that they're kind of leaning into the cereal box with it too. I think it comes with a cereal box, which is
little mini cereal.
Which is great. But I had a great time. I had a great time actually working with the SoCal Joe show, designing a lot of their card backs, and that was a lot of fun. That one, because I actually recreated the cereal box.
I saw that
went around that. Yeah.
And I was kind of pissed that they didn't use that design that you did over those soybeans, because I thought they should have packaged it in the box. And I said, Scott did this better.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. But I've got a friend, David Miller, Flavy Davy. He actually hand paints every single action figure that is sold from the SoCal Joe show.
Wow.
So, he did the 300 Stardusters. He did the 500 whatever other. He's got the dude is massively talented. He gets all the credit. All I did was recreate a box, man. That's all I did on this one. But I would like to get his input on what he thinks Starduster compared to his version. Yeah,
that's awesome.
One thing I'm gonna have to have you take the Starduster box when I get it. I'm gonna have to have you redo it because I do not like that box. So I'm gonna have you work on the box for me.
All right. Did you guys see that they're releasing Kit as a crossover Knight Rider Transformer?
I saw that.
That's awesome. That's Chet's. That's got to be in your shopping cart.
It will be. Don't worry. I already have the Ecto one and the Turtle Band. So,
Dr. Brantley, last thoughts. No Indiana Jones announcements, but anything else?
Well, see, back in the 80s, I chose wisely because Indiana Jones is really the only thing I collect. And they only bring a series out like every 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm good for probably another 15 years.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been amazing chat. Thanks for tuning in. It was amazing 2 hours here talking San Diego Comic-Con again. The guys from Sarlacc Digest here on YouTube. If you are watching this, not present, not live, but alive, check out the first hour of their show. We were on there talking all things San Diego Comic-Con, and then we of course appreciate you tuning in this evening on Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. But
if we can get dead people to watch, that's going to be helpful for our numbers.
We're not going to say no.
If I could get dead people to watch, I'm using them for more power than just viewing the channel. I'll be like a death warlock, and it could be an interesting story. But it was super fun, and again, thanks for hanging out. More things to come, so check our podcast out as more news comes out through San Diego Comic-Con over the next 2 days. But thanks, everybody, and we will see you same time, same Shadowe Knows Network channel, 7 p.m. Pacific time, Fridays. Thanks, all. Thanks for hanging out.
Hit that like button.
Hit the like, subscribe. Hit the bell.